All right, we just got this breaking news in. The Cowboys have agreed to a 2-year deal with running back Darren McFadden. According to multiple reports, he was drafted by the Raiders. He's been there his entire career. He's from Arkansas. Again, now he is a Cowboy. Joining us now to talk about DeMarco, the Cowboys, their need replacement, Coach Herm Edwards. How are you?
I'm well.
It's good to have you here.
It's good to be a football player these days.
It is, right?
In the free agent market.
Okay, so listen.
Fantastic.
Is this a suitable replacement? What's your reaction to this?
Well, I think when he came out, McFadden, obviously, he was a tremendous back. Now, he's been hurt most of his career. But this is a good replacement. Now, I still think the Dallas Cowboys have the ability to go draft a back. They don't have to draft him in the first round by any stretch of the imagination. They've got a fantastic offensive line. So whoever runs behind this offensive line is going to have some success.
Stephen A. Darren McFadden to the Cowboys. Your reaction?
From a skill set standpoint, he seems similar to DeMarco Murray in terms of running style, but I wish nothing but the best for McFadden. I certainly understand why Jerry Jones did it, and I have no problem with it considering the Arkansas roots, which we know are near and dear to Jerry Jones. And I wish nothing but the best for McFadden. But he's been in the NFL for 7 years. He's only had 1,000-yard season. He's been hurt, and this past season was the first time in his career he played in all 16 games. What do you want me to do? Give him a cookie? Congratulations. I mean, anything is an upgrade for him compared to where he was, because we all know that the Oakland Raiders are a moribund franchise, an absolute embarrassment and a disgrace to the game of football over the last decade. And anytime you get out of that kind of purgatory, I think it's a good deal for you if you're McFadden. But let's hope that he ends up healthy. If there was a person that needed to be in Dallas, it's McFadden because of that offensive line. His best shot at being protected and productive at the same time would have been in Dallas, because we know how big time the offensive line is.
Here's my one concern about Jerry Jones and Darren McFadden. Jerry Jones played at the University of Arkansas. Jerry Jones is an Arkansas nut, a big-time booster who goes to a lot of games, watches every game, and trust me, he watched every snap that Darren McFadden took at Arkansas. I watched a bunch of them, and he was a difference maker. He had star quality written all over him. He ran through the SEC the way Johnny Manziel tore up the SEC as a quarterback. I thought, and you'll be able to appreciate this, he reminded me a little bit because he was a little taller, strong, fast. No, I was going back another generation. I was going to O.J., and I know a lot of our younger viewers only know O.J. for all the wrong reasons off the field. But the O.J. on the field, you know what I'm talking about. He was special. And McFadden had a little bit of that glide, that O.J. glide. People, even LSU, Alabama, they couldn't deal with McFadden. And then when he went 4th overall to the Raiders, I thought, way to go, Raiders. And then it was one injury after another, all to the right legs. He did have a knee, he had an ankle, he had a foot. He's just never been Darren McFadden. So I'm thinking that Jerry might be reaching back into the past, hoping they can find that college McFadden.
Well, he needed to get another running back. There's no doubt about it. You lose DeMarco Murray, obviously. You got to get a veteran guy, so he goes and gets McFadden. They're going to draft a running back. I mean, this is a draft where, there's some running backs coming out. Gurley's coming out. The kid Abdullah's coming out from Nebraska. So he can get it back without
Melvin
Gordon. He doesn't have to get one in the first round. He still has to help this defense.
Right.
And the thing that you realize when you're a running back in Dallas, you're going to get a light box. You're not going to get 8 guys in the box all day. Because of who? Dez Bryant.
Yeah.
I mean, Dez Bryant doesn't allow you to put 8 guys in the box. You're going to have to run some coverage to Dez Bryant because you're worried about him. So you're going to get a light box. And that's going to help him.
And last quick point. Joseph Randle is a talented back. He was really, really good in college at Oklahoma State, all Big 12, first team. He's been a knucklehead off the field, continues to be. I don't know if you can trust him off the field, but I do think you can trust him on the field.
When he's available.
Yeah.
All right, let's go back to our hot topic from the top of the show. The Eagles were able to afford DeMarco Murray for that bargain basement price of $42 million, 21 of that guaranteed. This is what he did, though, last year. He rushed for more than 1,800 yards, and according to Elias, he was responsible for 36% of the Cowboys' yards from scrimmage, the highest of any player in 2014. And Stephen A. pointed this out. Murray had 449 touches, 6th most in a season in NFL history. Some say after a season like this, He's on the decline. How much does he have left in the tank is what we want to debate. We bring in our coach, Herm Edwards. You've expressed how you felt about running backs before on this show.
Right.
You run them, run them, run them. But in this case, $21 million, he's playing for the Eagles. Does he have much left in the tank?
Well, he's going to have some longevity there because the Eagles run the ball about 500 times in the season. They ran it 474 last year. They're going to get about 1,100 plays in, a little 1,100 plus plays in. And so when you look at, they have running back by committee right now because there's Ryan Matthews there. Now he's got to stay healthy as well, and they have Sproles there. So if you look at Murray, he touched about 400 and something odd times touches. He's not going to get that this year. He's got to get about 225. That's it.
Will he be happy with that?
Oh, yeah, sure he will because it's going to extend his career. He got his money.
Right.
He just got paid for what he just did. Now he's going to Philly on a pretty good football team in his division. He's going to run it about 225 times. If Ryan Matthews can stay healthy, he's going to run about 150, give Sproles about the 100. So they're going to split this thing up. I mean, that's going to be his role. He's not going to carry it 300 times anymore. That's done.
So his career, in your opinion, has some longevity to it.
If he runs it at that number, now if you get him back up to 300-400, which I doubt it, because Chip has shown he's going to run it about an average about 500 plays, and 500 runs, he's going to throw it about 600 times. So, yeah, fine.
Okay, so you had two great backs in your time as a head coach.
Yes.
You had Curtis Martin in 04, who carried it 371 times. In 06, Larry Johnson, Kansas City, carried it 416 times, which is the all-time carries record, not touches, but carries.
Right.
And after that, Larry Johnson was never quite Larry Johnson. Played 8 games the next year, was a little beat up, and kind of faded out after that, right?
Exactly.
So is it not some risk? Now, again, you make a great point about maybe the carries are brought down just by the system.
Way down, exactly right, way down.
Okay, but they just paid $21 guaranteed million. They committed it to one player.
Yes.
And you would be a little more prone to utilize the $21 million guaranteed, so maybe they'll give it to him a little more than you're thinking given last year's stats. Maybe they didn't have that kind of back. So my point is, I think he's a little at risk next year or the next year to break down or get a little beat up a little quicker than he did before.
Well, they're all at risk. I mean, this is a guy, and Stephen A. mentioned it about McFadden. This was the first time he made it through a season. And almost didn't make it because he broke his hand, right? So he's
DeMarco,
yeah, DeMarco. So he's been hurt.
Oh.
I mean, he's been hurt. So that's part of it. But free agency allows you to go get veteran players that you've seen. There's a history of the guys that you acquire, and guys have had injury history. That's part of the deal too. The money's the money. You have to spend the money on players. The owners can't keep it anymore. So it's not the player's fault if you pay them that type of money.
Yeah.
But you got to use the guy in your system. And how do you want to use him? I would say about 225 touches would be fine.
Okay, to me, the main reason they shelled out $21 guaranteed million was to make a little bit of a PR splash because they were taking a lot of hits for the moves they'd made up to this point, and then you also want to steal him away from your rival. And obviously he was a driving force for Dallas, and so it's part of the price that I think you're overpaying for him. But because Jerry stopped at $12 million guaranteed, they went all the way to 21. I think they overpaid, but they could say, no, we needed the credibility in our city, and then we needed to take him away from our division rival and level the playing field.
Yeah, and we can say that about a lot of players. But in free agency, you overpay. Because that's the market. And you understand that when you get involved there.
Yeah.
And all it takes is a couple suitors. You get into a battling with other guys, and you're going to overpay. That's just the deal.
All it takes is a couple of suitors. Stephen A., how much left does DeMarco Murray have in the tank, in your opinion?
We'll see. We don't know. I mean, he finished the season healthy. We'll find out what he has left. That's not my issue with it personally. It remains to be seen how much he has left. He had 392 carries last year. You got Sproles there. You got Matthews there now. Now you've got DeMarco Murray. So if he's getting anywhere from 2 to 225 carries, the question is, should he be able to handle that load? I would venture to say yes. But we all know that's not my issue with what transpired.
Okay, so Coach Edwards, I need to toss up to you what Stephen A. tossed up to me as we opened our show. Maybe I should let Stephen A. so you don't accuse me of misquoting you. You did not like the way Jerry Jones and Jason Garrett handled DeMarco's carries last year. Will you bounce that off Coach Edwards, please?
Yes, I do. I will. I think that, the Dallas Cowboys, when they were thinking about their future, they weren't thinking about DeMarco Murray. He wasn't a part of their future plans, and I think they ran him. I mean, I don't mean it literally because he's still balling and he's not hurt, but figuratively speaking, they ran him till the wheels came off, and I think it was unnecessary. Coach, when I think about you in Kansas City giving Larry Johnson a record 416 carries, I also remember that Michael Bennett was a backup. I remember that Trent Green and Damon Heward were your quarterbacks. You had no choice. Rhetorically speaking, maybe I would ask you the question, if you had Tony Romo and Jason Witten and Des Bryant and Terrence Williams and this kid Beasley, and oh, by the way, backups and Joseph Randle and Lance Dunbar, would you have given DeMarco Murray 392 carries and 449 touches in a season? I don't think you would. You can answer that question in a second for yourself, but I don't think you would. In the end, what I'm accusing the Dallas Cowboys of is very, very simple. I thought they were incredibly shady because you as an organization looked towards your future and you saw that you were going to have to pay Dez, and you knew that you had already paid Tony Romo, and you obviously had paid Fredericks and Martin and those boys and making sure you shored up your offensive line or what have you, and you never really had any intentions of paying DeMarco Murray. So you know what? He's the best running back we've got. Let's make sure we run him until the wheels come off, and therefore justifying our willingness to devalue him at a certain number. So if we're going to get him, we'll get him at a number that works for us, but may not work for him, because in the free agent market, you're going to have people who already are devaluing the running back position, saying that DeMarco Murray may not have but so much left. So chances of him landing elsewhere is not something that they foresaw. And as a result, if we are going to keep him, we'll keep him at our number instead of the number he covets. And we'll have all of these carries and everything else to justify it, because it is helping us win games, but it's also serving a dual purpose, because it's enabling us to use him up, thereby justifying our low ball offer, which to me is exactly what has transpired.
Well, Stephen A. makes a lot of great points, obviously.
Maybe two.
He was one of 3 stars on this football team, maybe even 4 stars, because you're talking about Des Bryant. You got to get him the football. Tony Romo, you protected Tony Romo from giving the ball to the opponent because you wanted to run it. You put all the pressure on your offensive line because you put a lot of money there, and you paid him. So you paid the left tackle. And then Stephen A. makes a great point. You can't pay everybody. You paid the left tackle. You paid the quarterback. An older quarterback now, okay? And
okay,
now
he's saying you should have paid the running back.
No, I'm just saying, wait a minute. But before they got to the runner, they had already paid these guys. Mm-hmm. There lies the problem. You can't pay everybody.
What I tried to explain to him.
And so, but then they decided to pay the quarterback. They paid the left tackle to protect the quarterback. Then now with Des Bryant, eventually they're going to have to pay him. And they looked at the runner, and Stephen A's right. They said, well, we're going to run the guy, and we're going to see what happens, because he's been hurt most of his career. All right, he's been hurt. So they ran it probably a little bit more with him than I would have with the other talented players. Okay. I think at spots, they didn't use him in the right spots at times. Now, I go back to let's talk about this. We had a debate on the Seattle's last play, right? Because most people thought they should have what?
Gave the ball, yeah.
Gave it to Beast Mode.
Let me ask you this. 4th and 2 against the Green Bay Packers.
Yep.
The Dallas Cowboys go spread.
Okay. Okay.
DeMarco Murray's not even in the game. It's 4th and 2. You've run the ball already for about 129 yards. He's averaging 4.9 yards a clip. And you know what you do? You throw a fade.
Yep.
It was a touchdown.
You throw a fade.
Well,
it wasn't a touchdown. They got eliminated from the playoffs.
Oh,
that's what happened.
But it was,
even though it was a catch.
I'm just asking the question.
Yeah, we should have ran the ball. That's what you're saying.
Okay, but it was the prime of the century.
Yeah,
no prime of the century. 4th and 2.
Yeah.
4th and 2.
Okay.
Skip, Coach,
okay.
Skip. The other thing real quick is that Skip. That's the point that I was trying to make to you that Coach just talked about. The fact that you did pay all of those other guys, you're saying you can't pay everybody. I'm saying because they knew they had already paid those other guys. Okay. And they knew they couldn't pay everybody. All right. That's what contributed to their thought process.
We got to let Coach go, but you can't go so far as to call them shady. That's unfair to me.
I just did.
Okay, but it's unfair and it's out of bounds.
I don't believe
it's not shady. I don't think Coach would agree with shady. They're trying to win.
He doesn't have to.
Stephen A., they went into the year with an historically bad defense. The only way to win games in the NFC East is to control the football, not throw the football, ground and pound. I'm sorry.
And protect Romo.
Well, no, but mostly you got to run the clock. And they kept a bad defense, or what became an average defense.
Final word, Coach.
They did, but they also protected Romo. Romo was not the volume passer he was in the past. He didn't turn it over. They ran it 458 times. He only threw it 425. That's a good number for them.
All right, so the question was, and as you can see, a hotly contested
Shady.
debate. Did DeMarco deserve his money? I asked you guys to reply at the hashtag DeMarco to Eagles. 61% say yes, he did. 40%, 39% say no. Coach, we appreciate you being here. Thank you so much.
Run the ball, Skip.
Touchdown.
Run the ball.
Was it a catch?
They're at home.
Not by the rule.
At home.
Ladies and gentlemen, to the Twitter we go. Something like a dynamic duo. Happy to shut down quarterbacks with my bro, Darrelle Revis. Antonio Cromartie, Darrelle Revis, together again. We talk about it after the break. We'll be right back.